All right, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you tonight. So, as you know, I'm Zen Master Sebastian Rizzon, founding master of the Zen Art Center and the Mind Light Way School of Zen Arts. I lead these guided meditations on the first Thursday of every month, and I hold a Dharma talk and group meditation on the third Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. You can also find these streamed live or anytime after on the Zen Art Center YouTube page if you want to check these out or see anything that we've talked about today. So today I'm going to start talking a little bit about Zen and meditation, and then we'll go through some different meditation techniques together. Much of this class is derived from my experiences living, studying, and teaching Zen Buddhism at a Zen Buddhist temple for 16 years. Most of the techniques I'll show you today are things I personally practice every day, and I've done so for the past 19 years. So first, I'll give a little introduction about Zen. Zen is a practice of using meditation to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world we live in. It's about seeking the underlying truth in nature, which we call Dharma. In order to be able to discern what the truth is, you must have a clear mind that's not being tainted by your thoughts, opinions, and desires. This is the primary reason we meditate. Zen doesn't provide any metaphysical answers. It's just a practice which guides you through meditation to find the truth within yourself. This is why I hold these classes, so we can practice meditation, clear our minds, and encourage each other to keep seeking the deeper truth that lies within all of us. Zen practice also uses koans. Koans are questions and statements that challenge you to reconsider everything that you think you know. They push you to see things differently than you normally do. I call my approach to teaching the mind light way. The main koan I give all of my students is, what is your mind? Does anyone have an answer for this? When I say mind, I mean, what is the foundation of who you are? Mind is just a word that I use to point to this. Some people might call it your soul or your spirit. Your mind is your portal into this world. In order to completely understand the Dharma, you have to understand what your mind is. In order to understand what's at the foundation of your being, you have to experience the true nature of your mind. In Zen Buddhism, we say to attain enlightenment, you must see your mind. However, the mind is not a material object, so how could you possibly see it? In Zen practice, we approach this type of challenge by planting the questions in our minds like a seed. However, in order for the seed to grow, it needs light. The problem is that our thoughts, opinions, and desires block the light of your mind. So we meditate in order to clear out all of the thoughts. Then the light of our mind can shine through and illuminate the path for our seed to grow and blossom. The path is what I call the mind light way. Simply put, it's the process of planting a seed in your mind, then clearing out your thoughts so your mind can illuminate the seed. Then the seed can grow, blossom, and produce fruit. In essence, that's the purpose of the class tonight. We're going to go through a few different approaches to sowing seeds in our mind and a few techniques that we can use to clear our mind. So with that said, let's move into some different forms of meditation and sitting meditation to help us clear our minds. We're going to sit, typically if you're sitting on the floor, you can sit with your legs crossed, and then you want to keep your neck and your back straight. If your eyes are open, they would be at about a 45-degree angle looking at the floor. For some of these, we'll have our eyes open or closed. For most of them, they'll be closed. You want to have your hands in the Zen Mudra position, which is right hand, left hand, touching your thumbs, centered in your lap. And if you're in a chair, I suggest kind of keeping your back off of that so you're sitting straight, and also if you can keep your feet flat on the floor, that's usually what I suggest. If you get uncomfortable in any of these positions, the position isn't super critical. This is just what I suggest so that you're keeping a good posture and not going to hurt your neck or back or anything like that. But if you do get uncomfortable, you can stand up and stretch out. Just try to be quiet and respectful of the people meditating around you. Before we get started with the meditations, let's practice a breathing technique that can help you relax and prepare your body for meditation. So I just want you to start by breathing a little bit deeper and a little bit slower than you usually do. Now visualize your heart in the center of your chest as you breathe. As you listen to me, I just want you to keep slowing down your breath and breathing a little bit deeper. Feel your breath coming in through your nose and mouth, collecting all of your energy from your brain and moving it from your head into your heart. Imagine now that you're breathing with your heart. The purpose of this is to try to align our mind, heart, and body. You can also place your hand on your heart and close your eyes if you'd like. Just keep breathing a little bit slower and deeper. This is a technique that you can use to relax or reset yourself whenever you feel nervous or anxious, or whenever you feel like you need to switch gears from different activities you're doing throughout the day. You can use it when you wake up, before you enter a stressful meeting, before you go to sleep, or before you meditate. So let's just take a few more moments and take some slow and deep breaths. So one of the most basic meditation techniques you can use is breathing meditation. In traditional Zen meditation, we usually focus on a mantra. The mantra is typically a word or a phrase that's repeated within your mind that's used to push out all of the other thoughts. In this part of class, we'll use our breath as the focus of our meditation. For this technique, we'll just sit still and quietly count our breaths. During this meditation, try to stay focused on your breath. If you lose count, it's a sign that you've lost your focus. As soon as you have that realization, just start over and start counting again. You can do this technique with your eyes open or closed. If your eyes are open, you should have your gaze towards the floor. So let's practice this together for a few minutes. I'm just going to hit the moktak to start and finish this. So next we're going to go through a series of meditations which can help you set your intentions for your life. The first meditation is on gratitude. We're just going to take a few minutes to remind ourselves of the reasons we have to be grateful and give thanks within our mind. For example, I always like to remind myself to be thankful for my health, my family, my friends, and my teachers. The things you're thankful for could be very general or very specific. That's up to you. No matter how bad things get in my life at times, I always like to remind myself that I still have plenty to be thankful for. This helps me keep a positive perspective and outlook in every circumstance. Now I want you to close your eyes for a few minutes and think about the things in your life that you're thankful and grateful for. If you can't think of a long list of things to be thankful for right now, that's okay. You can just repeat a few things that you're thankful for as if they're a mantra. So let's do that for a few minutes here. Let's take a few minutes to forgive ourselves and others for the mistakes that were made or the harm that has been done. Let's also pray that we don't continue to harm others in ways that cause unnecessary suffering. Now let's close our eyes for a few minutes and focus on forgiveness. Now we're going to take a few minutes to focus on affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements or phrases that are repeated within our minds with the intention of cultivating a positive mindset. The idea behind affirmations is to reinforce positive thoughts and to motivate ourselves to focus on our strengths, goals, and desired outcomes. The affirmations can be anything that's meaningful to you, but here are a few ideas you can use. You can tell yourself that each breath is a mantra that clears my mind. Each breath connects me to the world around me. My actions are my mantra. My mantra keeps me focused on each moment. I embrace change with a clear mind. I'm liberated from my attachments to my thoughts, opinions, and desires. Love and compassion fill my heart and guide my actions. I treat myself and others with kindness and compassion. My destiny is to attain enlightenment. I believe in myself and my ability to stay true to my path. Use your affirmations as a mantra during this meditation. Now let's take a few minutes to remind ourselves of our intentions and our aspirations. Now we're going to focus on our prayers. You can pray for yourself, the world, and the universe. I usually pray for good health, happiness, and success in my endeavors. I also pray for the good health and good fortune of my family, my friends, my teachers, and enlightenment for everyone in the world. You can pray for a friend or a family member that's sick. You can pray for peace and harmony in the world. You can pray for anything you want. Just be careful what you ask for. When you pray, the air collects your prayers and brings them out into the world where they gather and create potential. The more you pray, the more you stir the winds of fortune, which will fill the sails for your journey. Now let's take a few minutes and remind ourselves of our prayers. So the gratitude and prayer meditations are something I do every day before I bow and chant. Forgiveness is something I focus on whenever I feel anger or resentment. Today we've planted the seeds to affirm ourselves, our gratitude, our ability to forgive, and our prayers. Now we can move into the traditional mantra meditation to clear our mind of all the extraneous thoughts that grow like weeds. This will allow the seeds that we want to nurture and grow to become beautiful flowers that we imagine. You can use the previous techniques to set your intentions and create clarity in your life. However, if you want to attain enlightenment, you need to push beyond your thoughts and words to a realm that transcends life and death. To reach this point, you have to completely empty your mind. In Zen, we use meditation to help us reach this point. The traditional technique we use in Zen is mantra meditation. So we'll use the mantra to clear our mind. The mantra is the focal point of the meditation, usually a word or a phrase that's repeated within your mind. If you try not to think, thoughts will inevitably come into your mind. So by focusing on the mantra, you can use it to push out all of the other thoughts. When you meditate on a mantra, try to let go of your feelings, opinions, desire, and ego. As you meditate, only concentrate on your mantra. If any thought comes into your mind, let it pass and return to focusing on your mantra. You can use anything as a mantra during meditation, but if you don't have a mantra you want to use, I usually suggest using the mantra of Koan Bosal. Koan Bosal. That's the name of the bodhisattva of love and compassion in Korean Zen. A bodhisattva is an important teacher in Buddhism. Koan Bosal is often depicted with thousands of eyes and hands and is said to be able to see the suffering of everyone and help those who call out her name. Using this mantra will bring compassionate energy towards you while you meditate. Drawing compassionate energy towards you is like giving water to your seeds. So now let's meditate on the mantra for a few minutes here. So today we talked about different ways we can set our intentions and how to clear our mind using sitting meditation. Sitting meditation helps you keep your mind clear. And when your mind is clear, you can think clearly and make better decisions for yourself. When you think clearly and make better decisions, you can take actions which are more beneficial to yourself, to the people around you, and to the world we live in. Sitting meditation makes your mind clear, and a clear mind makes clear thinking, and clear thinking produces clear actions. So how do you keep your mind clear when you're not sitting in meditation? When you're moving around and living your life, your actions can become your mantra. If you're completely focused on what you're doing, your movements become your meditation. If you can completely focus on what you're doing, your mind will be completely present in each moment. When you're operating like this, you'll be less likely to make mistakes in whatever you're doing. The actions you take will be clear. By staying focused on your actions, you'll block out all of the irrelevant thoughts and think clearly about what you're doing. If you stay completely focused on what you're doing, you'll completely clear your mind. In this way, your concentration makes your actions clear. Your complete focus clears out your thinking. And this process produces a clear mind. This is called moving meditation. Meditation works both ways. If you sit and meditate, that clears out your mind, which makes clear thinking and clear action. If you do moving meditation, focusing on making your actions clear clears out your thinking, which clears your mind. If you approach your life like this, everything you do can become a meditation. Then your mind will always be clear. It might sound like an easy process, but it can be difficult to do. That's why we practice. Aside from having a routine of sitting meditation, it might also be helpful to practice different forms of moving meditation. One form of moving meditation that can also help you improve your quality of life is exercise. Exercise is a way you can practice clearing your mind by focusing on your actions. It could be anything: running, biking, weightlifting, yoga, or martial arts. I'd recommend doing a form of exercise you enjoy. It doesn't always have to be hard physical activity. You can switch it up. Some days it could be a gentle recovery exercise like walking. If you can incorporate 15 to 20 minutes of exercise into your day, it will help you to maintain your health and help you to learn to focus on your actions. Just going for a walk can be a deeply meditative experience if you pay close attention to everything that's going on around you. If you resist labeling things and try not to attach any thoughts to what you're observing, it can have a profound effect on your experience. Try to raise your awareness of everything around you by ignoring the conceptual boundaries that we create through our thinking. Recognize that the experience you're having is an exchange and an interaction between yourself and everything surrounding you. Your body's not actually separate. It's actively participating in this exchange. Try to be aware of everything that's going around you through all of your senses. This practice can help you have a more mindful experience and also develop a sense of unity with the world we live in. An artistic practice can also be another form of moving meditation. Whether it's painting, drawing, making music, writing, dance, or any other creative process you enjoy or are curious about. If you focus more on cultivating a consistent practice of creating without any expectations of results, you can learn to tap into a state of mind where your creations flow through you without overthinking. If you can engage in an artistic practice on a regular basis, it can enhance your meditation practice and help you learn to apply meditation to other activities in your life. Eventually, you can try to apply this level of focus to everything you do, whether it's cooking, doing your dishes, cleaning up around the house, or having a conversation. It's possible to reach a flow state in any activity you do. If you can learn to be completely focused in each moment, it will completely change the way you interact with the world. These forms of sitting and moving meditation that we talked about today will help you learn to focus your mind and keep your mind clear. If you can incorporate just a few of these into your daily routine, it will help you maintain a clear mind. I'd suggest starting by committing 5 minutes a day to one or two of these practices, and one of these or a few of these techniques. Eventually, once you establish a routine, you can expand your practice and try going a little bit longer or incorporating some of the other techniques. When your mind is clear, you let go of your opinions and desires. These practices of meditation can help you to relax and to overcome stress, anxiety, and depression. Meditation can help you stop the momentum of the thoughts and emotions that sometimes snowball from rolling around in your head. When you're less focused on your thoughts, you become a better listener to the world and to the people around you. When you listen carefully, you can better understand the other people and develop an increased sense of empathy and goodwill. If we all engage in these practices, we'll cultivate a more compassionate world. If you can practice these things a little bit every day, eventually you can learn to expand your meditation practice to include everything you do in your life. Then your mind will always be clear. When your mind is clear like a mirror, it provides a true reflection of everything that surrounds you. When your mind blossoms in this way, it will reflect the true nature of everything. When this happens, you'll be able to recognize the inherent beauty in nature that is also inherent within all of us. What I'm describing is the experience of awakening. And if you stay on this path, it will lead you to enlightenment. I wish you all good fortune in this journey. And I hope these ideas are inspiring and the techniques are helpful. And I'm happy to stay and answer questions about anything, if anybody has any. I usually do a little Q&A at the end, so about any of the techniques or the mind or anything, enlightenment, anything we talked about. Usually this is the best part of the class, if people have good questions. So, yeah.
Does it matter what type of meditation or how long?
Does it matter?
What type of meditation? Mantra versus gratitude, loving kindness, and how long?
Well, I guess it does matter in a certain way. So the gratitude, any of those could be a mantra, if you're repeating it. But I think more of the prayer meditations, the affirmations. Those are like planting the seed. But if you want the seed to grow, you have to till the garden so that the seeds you want to grow will grow. So that's what the mantra meditation and the breathing meditation are for, just more to clear everything out so that the other thoughts aren't still rolling around in your head, and the seed gets the light of your mind. So that's it. And if you really want to attain enlightenment, you want to just plant that seed, but then really focus on clearing your mind. But it's important to set your intentions for what you want, sometimes going into meditation, but I like to use meditation for, when you're aiming to clear your mind. I at least make usually the end portion of my meditation just dedicated to clearing my mind. And does it matter how long? Anything is better than nothing. And so that's why I suggest just starting with a little bit. And if you have a routine and you're doing just even a minute every day, over the course of a year, that's 365 minutes. That would be a lot to do in one day. But over time, it builds up and it gets easier. So then, doing 2 minutes, after you've done a minute for 10 days in a row, 2 minutes will seem easier. So I suggest just building slowly. I think sometimes when people take on new things, they try and say, well, I'm going to meditate for 2 hours, and then they can't sit the next day because they're so sore from it. So it's I like to just start small and build up, and I think that's the key to success long term, is starting small and building up. Yeah, I will just finish up to say, eventually you want to learn how to expand that to more parts of your life. If your goal is to keep your mind clear and, attain enlightenment, or, any goal you want to accomplish, really, if your mind's clear, you'll be much better at accomplishing that goal. So it does matter to some degree, but I think the most important thing is just having the routine. At least your mind is always going to have things that occupy it, things you have to do. So having that routine is kind of like, you know, like taking a shower. You want to take a shower every day so that your body's clear every day. But you don't shower all day. You take a shower once a day, and then it's cleared out. So, so you can think of it like that, or brushing your teeth. You know, it's just for your mental health instead of your dental health, right? So you spend a few minutes every day brushing your teeth. Most people I know do, and why not just spend a minute clearing your mind? I mean, that's your mind starts to get cluttered and dirty too, so you got to clear that out. Yeah. So sorry. And next, you had another question. So.
Oh yeah. So sometimes I notice that after exercise, especially heavy exercise or aerobic exercise, meditating is easier, or at least the mind is calmer. And if you can talk about this point.
Yeah, I have the same experience. That's why I mentioned it here. This isn't an exercise class, so I'm not having everybody get up and do anything like that. But I do. That's why I've in this school, which I call the Zen Art Center, I've incorporated artistic practice, writing, and I also do martial arts here, so that there are those types of activities that I can expose to people to. But it doesn't have to be something I'm teaching. You know, like you said, you get it from any form of exercise. And something about that, I think, you know, I don't know the scientific reasons necessarily, but I think breathing heavily and doing physical exercise turns different parts of your brain on and off. And I think, or maybe more blood's reaching certain parts. I don't know the science behind it, but I think something like that is happening, which also facilitates meditation. But I think there is some, I'm not really super familiar with it, but there's definitely scientific research out there on flow state and what's happening to your brain. And I think if you're reaching a flow state in an activity, whether it's art or riding your bike or something like that, that is a form of meditation, because your mind's not wandering. You're not thinking about, you know, what's going on with my friend or my girlfriend or my parents or whatever. You're just focused on what you're doing, and in that sense, that's becoming a meditation. It essentially, like I said, your actions are becoming your mantra. So that would be, you know, did I answer your question? It was kind of I don't have all the science to back up what I'm saying, but there's a lot of research going on around that type of stuff. I think there is something physiological that's happening too that makes it easier, but I have the same experience. It makes it easier for me too, and that's why I mention it in this meditation class. I think for me, it was actually really important in bridging the gap between being able to sit still and you know, so doing some form of meditation or activity before meditation made it easier for me. My teacher was a Zen teacher and a martial arts teacher, so he incorporated the practices together. And for me, that's when it really started to click. Like after doing martial arts, it was much easier for me to sit down and meditate. So we would do a martial arts class, and then we would meditate for 5 minutes at the end. And that was really the key to me becoming way more consistent. And then after I did that for a while, I could sit and meditate for much longer. So that's just something a little different that I like to push forward so people understand. Like, it doesn't have to be strictly sitting. That's a good practice, and it's an important part of practice to clearing your mind, but there's other ways that you can use to supplement that practice. So.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, because even in the Indian culture of yoga, they say that you can do the yoga practices and then meditate after that, especially before sunrise. So I agree, and I've witnessed the same thing. Sometimes I come back from workout and then I meditate, so it's much better.
Yeah.
So I think that's true. But I would like to talk about one thing you mentioned about clearing your mind.
Yep.
But you said that you usually do it at the end and make sure you keep some think it's correct because sometimes I get like slightly emotional in my meditations. Like for example, like you said, when you do the forgiveness meditation, or you know, or something else, and so I get emotional and I'm like, am I really clearing my mind or am I just thinking about my past experiences? So I think what you said about at the end, keep some time to just clear your mind off. I think that is important. I think it just clicked with me when you said that, because I was thinking about it. I was like, why do when I meditate, I am just like getting slightly emotional and like, but I think that makes sense what you said.
Yeah, I'm just gonna repeat some of that because the mic doesn't always pick it up. But I thought they were great points. Like yoga is a great example, and it goes back thousands of years of people using different forms of motion to enhance their meditation. And yeah, I'm not like I've done some yoga. I'm not really deep into the practice, but I think that it's much the same as what I was talking about with my martial arts practice, just a different form of movement. And yeah, and as far as clearing your mind, I think some of these things, like the prayer, the forgiveness, the affirmations, they're not typically taught as a Zen meditation, but they're things my teacher told me to do. And I think they really help you with the life that you have to live in a day-to-day basis, reminding yourself of those things. And so I always would do all of those things before. We would always do bowing and chanting in the morning at the temple. I would do the prayer and the gratitude and the forgiveness before I did that. And then the chanting and the bowing's like a moving form of meditation, and chanting is like a form of mantra meditation. It's just a longer mantra, that has more variation to it. So it was built into the practice, and I've just kind of created a smaller version of it in this class. But I think if your goal, and in Zen, that is the primary goal of the meditation, is to attain enlightenment or this awakening, you do have to have your mind clear. And that's why I think it is like important to try to put down those emotions, try to put down even the desires, even the prayers, all of those things. Just put them down. And that makes your a space or an emptiness in your mind, which gives all of those seeds room to grow. Otherwise, your mind is cluttered, and there's no room for, if your mind is wandering and thinking about all different kinds of things, there's no room for those seeds to grow. So that emptiness creates a potential in your mind that allows those things to grow and blossom. So thanks. Yeah, I appreciate those comments. That's a good point. Yoga, it seems like a very obvious one, and I talk to a lot of yoga practitioners who say the same thing. But I believe, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like yoga means something a little more broad generally, right? Yeah. It's a bigger thing than just kind of a lot of what's practiced here, from what I understand.
So it has like 8 different branches if you go deep, but it's only one branch that is practiced here, which is the physical stretching part of yoga.
Yeah.
But there are so many other aspects of yoga. But yoga, the word itself means the sum of mind and body. So that's what yoga means. But that's basically the summary. And then there's so many other things about yoga. Ayurveda is part of it, which is herbs and medicine and good food. That is one part of yoga. So yeah, there are so many things in yoga.
Yeah, and I think they use different terms in Zen and in some of the other Asian cultures. And my teacher was from Korea, so he would talk about like chi energy a lot of times, which I think is essentially the same things, like what you're putting in, the energy you're creating, the types of things you're putting into your body create this energy. And he would also call it universal energy. So I think it's different words for the same things. I think sometimes we get hung up on the differences of the words rather than that they're really all pointing to the same thing. So But I like that, and I see a lot of similarities when I talk to people who are from the, either the older Buddhisms that came from India or Hindu as well. I see a lot of similarities in the practices. They just use different words, which I'm not familiar with. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, any other questions, comments, thoughts?
You have, I'm someone, like, I just recently learned that not everyone has, like, an internal monologue, which I was kind of shocked by, that, like, people don't, because I just constantly have thoughts, and especially, I take a long time to fall asleep a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once I fall asleep, I'm fine, but I'm just curious about, like, if there are particular types of meditation that help. I mean, I guess just clearing your mind in general, but, like, are there sleep meditations that, or?
Yeah. So first of all, I'd say you can use, if you wanted to use any of these techniques, I would focus on maybe the breathing or the mantra meditation versus the ones where you're planting seeds, because those might stir the thoughts and emotions like we were talking about. So maybe the mantra meditation, the breathing meditation, or just the one where you're taking deeper and slower breaths. That could really help as well. And you can do these, the position is not really critical, but you can do them lying down. So you can sit or you can lie in your bed and do the mantra meditation, things like that. I think doing those right before bed might help, but I think if you want to be able to kind of free yourself from that inner monologue more, having the routine of meditation built into your day, throughout your day, will help with that more than anything you can do right when you're trying to go to bed. I think it's like, I think I compare it to like exercise a lot of times. Like if you want to lift heavy weights, you got to practice before you need to do that, right? So you got to start lifting smaller weights and building up, and then when you need it, then you can lift whatever you need to lift. So it's kind of the same with meditation. If you're really stressed out and anxious, it's a lot harder to meditate if you haven't been practicing. So having that little practice, that will help keep your baseline of the chatter in your mind lower, but it'll also sharpen that tool so that like when you're ready, when you need to use it, it's ready for you to use, and you'll learn also to rely on it and to trust it and that it will work. So if you haven't kind of built up that, it's a lot harder to use. It can still work somewhat, but I think the practice and the consistency of that practice, even if it's just a minute a day, that will help you in the times you need it. Even if it's just to be like, to recognize, oh, I'm really stressed out, I'm having anxiety, that's why I can't sleep. I have a tool that I can use that I've been practicing. Then it's a much more useful tool for you. So it's not like waving a magic wand and it makes everything go away. It does. That's why we call it practice. You have to actually practice it. So and it does take practice. All these things sound simple, but they're not easy. They take time to get better at it. It seems like we should be able to just clear our mind at this drop of a hat, but I think most of us have experienced it's not always that easy. And I've been doing it very consistently for almost 20 years, and it has become a very reliable tool, and it's much easier for me to just let go of these things. I still have all of the same, thoughts that pop into my mind. The difference is I've really learned how, and I have a routine where I'm clearing them out pretty regularly, and then when I really need to, it's easier. It's not always instantaneous. Sometimes it still takes work, even after years and years of practice. If something really, really challenging happens or difficult, or I had been meditating for like 16 years, and my teacher passed away, and that was like it was very difficult for me. It was a very difficult time for me, and I was really glad I had that tool because I think it helped, but it wasn't like it didn't make everything instantly better. But having that practice and then returning to that and being like, okay, this is what he taught me. This is why he was teaching me for these exact moments. And I went to it and I meditated, and it really did like help me with the suffering I was feeling from that loss. So that's just a really extreme case for me, where I lived with him for 16 years, and I kind of relied on him up until that point. But then when he was gone, I had everything he left me with, and it was a great reminder that I could keep going and continue with the practice, and he had really given me everything I needed to go forward. So it was, but yeah, like sleep is a tough one, and I would just say, yeah, practice a little bit every day, get that tool sharper, and then I think over time, it'll start to be able to help you out for sure. So, good question. Thank you. Yeah.
If I can just add something, I know I haven't done meditation for 20 years, like basically a few months, but it's rewarding so fast that it has to be sheer commitment in the beginning for maybe 10 days, but then you'll see that everything is slowing down, and that's the reward that your brain needs to continue doing it and then have long-lasting effects. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this in a previous talk, just to kind of piggyback off what she said. Start with like trying a minute every day when you wake up, and then just see if you can do that for 10 days. Just a minute. That's 10 minutes of a commitment over 10 days. Just start with that, and if you make it 10 days, go for 30 days. Try to do a whole month. And if you make it to 100 days, you'll probably never want to miss a day again, because by then you've started to really notice a difference in the way your mind is. Yeah, you don't have to stay at a minute. You can make it 2 minutes or 5 minutes, but always try to do that minute, just so that you keep the routine. It's kind of like brushing your teeth. Like when you're a kid, no one wants to do it, but like after you do it every day, like now you don't even think about it, and keeps your teeth shiny all the time and your breath fresh. So it'll be the same for your mind. It'll be clear and fresh for every day if you started the day off like that. So, yeah. Any more questions, comments? I really appreciate them. It's good. It's very good for me to see what's on people's minds and what they're thinking about. If you don't have any more questions, I just want to make a few announcements. First of all, I hold I hold a very similar class to this on the first Thursday of every month, and this is just to remind ourselves of these practice, get together, practice together, and do a bunch of meditation. I also have a Dharma talk and a meditation class on the third Thursday of every month, so 2 weeks from today. In that one, it's basically half of mantra meditation and half of me giving a talk, about the mind, enlightenment, things like that, things more closely related to Zen and Buddhism. But it's has more about the underlying philosophy. I was kind of brief in that stuff. I usually will have some sort of topic I'm talking about. So, and those are from 7 to 8 p.m. The next Dharma talk is on September 19th, so 2 weeks. I also host Zen art and writing groups. So in that, they're just creative groups. We get together. I show a little bit of these meditation techniques, and we practice for like 5 minutes, and then basically make art or write. So it's more of a creative group, but it's also learning how you can use meditation in those processes to, as a source of inspiration, but also how to use your artistic practice as a form of meditation. The writers group is called the Zen Writers and Poets Society. That's the second Sunday of every month from 3:30 to 5 in the afternoon. So that's this Sunday, actually. The other one's called the Zen Artists Collective, and that's the fourth Saturday from 3:30 to 5. So if you're ever interested in being a little more creative, there's no, it's for all levels. There's no prior experience required. You just have to bring something you want to work on, basically. And there's an opportunity to share, but you don't necessarily have to. And all of these are on my website, zen-artcenter.com, or on the meetup page. Yeah, and you don't need any prior experience for any of them. Also, sign up for my email list if you haven't, if you want to stay informed about things going on around here. And then lastly, I rely solely on donations, so if you can afford to leave a donation, it's greatly appreciated. There's information on the back table as far as Venmo or Cash App, or and I really appreciate you all coming out. That was one of the things I was thankful for in my meditation, was having people here to share and inspire me, because it's inspiring to have other people here around as well. I want to create a community of people who are into encouraging each other and inspiring each other and keeping each other going on this path. So if you'd like to hang out and chat, you're welcome to stick around and speak freely. But that's it for tonight. So thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. Great to see all of you.